and welcome to another build video. Today I'll be showcasing my Duellist fighter build, which I have used quite a bit on this channel on solo honor mode, and it's one of the strongest builds I've ever used. So if you're looking for a build that just completely destroys anything in your path, this is your build. In this video I'll be covering anything you need to know to make up the build yourself, including levels, items, consumables and buffs. But if you want to see more action for this build, just check out my other videos on this. And if you find this video helpful, consider leaving a like or subscribing, helps me out a ton. But let's get right into it. First, your fighting style. Obviously it's a duelist, so you want to choose the dueling fighting style. Just adds 2 more damage to your weapon if you don't have anything in your offhand. You can still have a shield in your offhand, but we won't. Then for your ability scores, you want to take everything out of strength, because you're going to use the strength elixirs, which set your strength score to a set amount, so no natural strength levels required. Dexterity you want because of the initiative and also the armor class bonus. Constitution is very nice to have for HP, and the last 4 points you can invest in other stats as well, but I like having wisdom because all of the annoying spells have wisdom saves. Then for our next levels, we get action surge, very nice to have. On honor mode, this gives you a good action, meaning that this action also gets the extra attack bonuses, which doesn't happen for haste and stuff. If you're not playing on honor mode, this is just another action for you. Not that awesome, but still very useful. Then for our subclass, we want the Battle Master subclass, and we want this arming attack to counter paladins and the like. Then we want evasive footwork for more defense, and menacing attack to frighten people. This is very useful, so this reduces their movement speed to 0. Our first feat is going to be Savage Attacker, very nice, just makes your damage more consistent, and just overall a great feat. At level 5 we get our first extra attack. As I said, Action Surge works with this on honor mode, which makes it even better. Our 6th level feat, since this is fighter, we go for ability improvement and get 2 more dex. Then for our next maneuvers, we go for Riposte. This is one of the main aspects of this build, and Trip Attack. Riposte basically makes so whenever someone misses you, you can retaliate with a very powerful strike, and Trip Attack makes it so you can prone people, preventing reactions. I like using this against people like Raphael that have legendary actions that affect you immediately when you attack them, so this prevents that. Then for our next feat, we can go for Alert, very nice for the initiative bonus. Level 9 gives you Indomitable. This is incredibly useful, basically makes it so you can reroll any saving throw. Depending on what you're saving, this can be very impactful. Our last maneuvers are going to be Pushing Attack, basically just a shove in an attack, and Precision Attack if we ever want to guarantee a hit. And also, these attacks, in case you weren't aware, they deal 1d10 extra damage, so just 3 damage. Next, we have our improved extra attack at level 11. So for our good actions we get 2 extra attacks, meaning in total 4 extra attacks with Action Surge. And lastly, our last feat. Honestly, at this point, there isn't really much you really need. So you can basically go for whatever you like. But I like to go for Defensive Duelist, because if you're using a finesse weapon, you can just add your proficiency bonus to your armor class using a reaction. And your proficiency bonus at level 12 is always 4, so plus 4 armor class, which is quite a significant bonus, so I just like using it. Also very stylish. Next, our items. We start with the Helmet of Balderon. You can also go with Saravok's Horned Helmet if you have it. This just reduces your critical hit threshold by 1, but Balduran's Helmet is much more defensive, and if you're playing on honor mode, probably the better option. But if you want the maximum damage, this is probably better for you. Next, we have 2 cloak options. These two are probably equal in value for you. This one makes it so you blur at the start of each round, and this one just gives you +1 armor class. The reason why I don't like this one is because the blur effect goes away the second you take damage, and that includes area of effect damage that you can't avoid, so not a big fan of this one, but you can use it if you want to. Next, our armor, classic Duellist armor. Great armor set, makes enemies vulnerable to piercing damage when they're next to you, so obviously just double damage. Next, Gauntlets of the War Master. These give enemies disadvantage against saving your weapon actions and maneuvers, so all the stuff we just chose when leveling up, those actions, they get disadvantage against the special effects they have, so you can prone them, frighten them, whatever you like, very easily. But also weapon actions include this Piercing Strike that inflicts gaping wounds, which is extra damage, and if you have any other weapon that isn't the one we're using here, also those weapon actions gain advantage. Next we have these boots. You can also use the Helldusk boots here, but I like having Longstrider on any melee build, and Fighter doesn't get it as a spell, so we need to get it somewhere else. And these also make you immune to paralysis, so very nice to have. Next are amulets. You can use this one if you're fighting any humanoid like Gortash to paralyze them and basically just kill them one turn. But if you're fighting someone that can't be paralyzed using this amulet, maybe go for this one instead, just for more HP. As you can see, my max HP goes up drastically. Or you can also go for more damage using this one. Even though it's kind of an early game amulet, I think it's valuable all the way to the end. Next, our rings. This one you can't change, this one is set. It's 1d4 more damage, and that gets amplified by this armor set. And lightly or heavily obscure targets sounds situational, but it's really not. Whenever you can just extinguish all light sources around the battlefield, and even if you can't, usually there are many spots where enemies are lightly or heavily obscured, so most of the time you're gonna benefit from this ring. And the other ring slot is up to you, but I usually like to run this combo. This one for the 1 guaranteed critical hit per long rest, and once I've used that, I swap to +1 armor class. Next, we have our ranged weapon, the Deadshot. I only use this because it also lowers our critical hit threshold, which is a very nice bonus. We're not going to be using many ranged attacks, so this is kind of irrelevant. And then our last piece of equipment, which is the most important one, the Duellist Prerogative, which is a fantastic weapon that I don't think many people know about. You get it from the anti-ethic quest in Act 3 by saving the child and returning to the mother. And this is a really strong weapon. First of all, it does piercing damage, obviously. So our armor amplifies this. Next, it's a legendary weapon, so it has +3 weapon enchantment, making it basically impossible to miss anything. Next, we have the very special bonus. If you have it in your main hand and your offhand is completely empty, even like also no shield, your critical hit score is reduced by 1, so, like the threshold for when you roll a critical hit, and obviously that stacks with this bonus and this bonus, so you can get it even lower. And you get an additional reaction per turn. Why is this useful? This is useful because defensive Duellist costs a reaction, so you can increase your armor class, and then you can riposte using a reaction as well. So you can basically make them miss and then exploit their miss, in a sense. So this is just it's just great overall. Next, we have the unique weapon actions. One is Change to Duel. This is a bonus action spell that has no cost or cooldown whatsoever. you can just spam that however much you like. And it doesn't go away like other weapon action spells. And what this does is it makes it so they only attack you, which is useless on a solo honor mode. But if you're playing this with a team of people, this is more of a use case for it. But I mainly use it for the bleeding. If you attack a target that has this effect on them, they start bleeding guaranteed. And if you then have the effect that gives you advantage against bleeding targets, you can just get advantage for free for a bonus action as well, so very nice. But there's also the Duellist Enthusiasm, which is an action you only get access to if your offhand is empty, and also the main reason why I want my offhand to be empty, because this is a main hand attack that you can just have for a bonus action. This has no downside whatsoever. This is just a main hand attack that you get for free every turn, and just great all around. Like one more attack, especially on a fighter where you can already attack so many times. This is great. Also, in case you're wondering, I have the Drake Throat Glaive buff on this weapon. That's why it has the 1d4 thunder damage and +1 weapon enchantment. Yeah. Next, consumables. If you don't want to like stack potions, you don't have to use all of these. They're just on top. But the one you have to use is the Elixir of Cloud Giant Strength, or Hill Giant Strength if you don't have Cloud Giant yet. But you get the materials from level 6 upwards for it from traders, so easy to get. The other potions right here, these are just for refilling your superiority die, which is your Battle Master resource. So very nice to have. And then obviously haste is great for an extra action and more armor class, and movement speed. Then blur is to increase the chance that people miss you so you can riposte them. Enlarge for more damage, 1d4 or 2d4 with his armor set. Mirror image, great. Misty step, all of these are more like extra quality of life stuff. Not necessary, but help quite a lot. And if you're up against someone like Raphael, who is resistant to non-magical physical damage, you can just apply this oil and bypass that. Very useful. Let's talk about some alternatives for your gear pieces as well. You can swap your gauntlets for these ones, which give you an even higher attack roll. But since this is already a legendary weapon and has +3 weapon enchantment, you don't need these really. It's just against very high AC targets where these become useful. Most of the time you're gonna want to use these, because the disadvantage is just huge. And then obviously you have the gloves of the automaton for the buff. You can just equip these, buff yourself, then unequip them very easily. And if you do want to run a shield, you can either just swap on this one for the +3 initiative bonus, and then just unequip it once combat starts. Or just if you really want to go defensive, and you kinda don't need the extra attack and the critical hit bonus, you can also go with the best defensive shield in the game, if you're struggling on a fight. But yeah, that's about it. If you enjoyed this video or found this helpful, again, consider leaving a like or subscribing. I will be doing more of these videos for other builds in the future. And until then, see ya.